Hare Krishna, this is Navneet and I welcome you to Vyasa Astro channel. Lunar Eclipse, September 18th, 2024. It is a partial eclipse and this has been formed with the conjunction of Rahu with the moon. And this video is going to be the first video of its kind on YouTube where I will explain you the nakshatra based effects of this lunar eclipse on this entire universe. You see, this eclipse in India has have no sutak because this is something which will not be seen in the eastern part of the world. It begins at around 6 a.m. and 11 minutes in the morning up till around 10 a.m. and 17 minutes in India, the Indian Standard Time. And you can convert it to your time from this time frame in whichever time zone you are. But this eclipse will be visible in the western parts of the world, and you need to take all the precautions which is required. But since it is a partial eclipse, right, it has more importance astrologically than astronomically. So if you're in the western part of the world, you're in America, North America, South America, right, and some parts of Europe, because you need to see the path of this particular eclipse, you need to take certain precautions, especially if you are pregnant, right? I mean, you need to rest. You need to avoid eating during the time of eclipse, doing any other task during the time of eclipse, and can pray to Shiva, and can listen to a special prayer known as Sri Rudram. Very, very important, right? Sri Rudram is the only prayer for this particular eclipse that we have, and not only for the people in the western part of the world, but this will be for the people here in the eastern part of the world because the astrological uh, you know combinations will give you lot of transformation, lot of mental turmoils and harassments, especially, I mean, it has already started. I mean, at least 15, 20 days before the eclipse and a month, 2 months after the eclipse, you will feel, these energies. Now, talking about in which nakshatra it is happening, because I promised you that I'm going to tell you the information regarding nakshatra and how does, this manifest. Uh, this is going to happen in the Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra. So I'm going to share my screen with you for September 18th. And I've taken this time as 6:25 a.m. in the morning, Ludhiana, Punjab. And you see, moon is almost in around 1 degrees or 0 degrees and 26 minutes in the Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra. And Rahu is in the Uttar Bhadrapada in the sign of Pisces. And then we have exactly opposite is Sun, Surya, almost 1 degrees. And then we have Ketu and Shukra. Shukra is about to leave Virgo sign, right? It'll be exiting, Virgo. And we also have, obviously, we have Ketu here. Now, the most important thing here is to understand this particular pada of the Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra. Now, this particular pada is the fourth pada of the Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra, and it is a Karka Navamsha. So, if you see, if it is a Cancer Navamsha, this moon has gone in the Cancer sign in the Navamsha. Okay, the fourth pada of the Purva Bhadrapada is the Cancer Navamsha. Now, every pada of every nakshatra is explained in a beautiful way by none other than Mahadev Shiva. And there's a story behind every particular pada which Mahadev explains to Ma Parvati. So he says that when he's explaining about the Chaturtha pada of the Purva Bhadrapada nakshatra, Mahadev tells Ma Parvati that there used to be a Brahmin and he used to stay in the Balbhadrapur, and he was having two wives. He never balanced his family. Now, this is a story, being told to Ma Parvati. And he used to be, he used to have a very unjustified behavior towards one wife. However, that one wife gave that Brahmin many sons, and the other wife was beautiful, but then he was more attracted and unjustified towards the elder wife. Ideally, as a Brahmin, having two wives was something not good, but he used to, facilitate both of them with food, with good clothes, and whatever nourishment was required. I mean, he was doing it well. But on the same time, this Brahman was also very much away from his, Brahma Tattva. So he used to go to forest, he used to hunt animals, right? And he was, he was born in a Brahmin family, but he never behaved like a Brahmin. And also for his, you know, because of his nature, he used to also burn the forests. So he used to burn the forest, and a lot of animals and birds used to die. And this was his activity whole of his life, right? And then once, when the time came, he passed away, he died. His wives also died. And in the next birth, he was downgraded from the Brahmin to a Vaishnava, means he was a businessman now. He was, he was born somewhere in the middle part of India in Madhya Pradesh. Well, that's what it's saying, you know. And, you know, he was born, with a lot of wealth in a very wealthy family. And why wealth? Because he used to treat his Lakshmi, his wife in the previous birth, right? And in all the facilities and everything. I mean, he used to give all the facilities, but he was never ever, justified in his relationship with, or there was no balance between, both the wives. So in this birth, he got a lot of money, he got facilities, but on the same time, since he was cruel with one of his wives, he did not get love, emotions from the existence wife in this birth, and also he was deprived from having any son, right? He got all the daughters, he never got a son, and whole of his life, from the childhood till his end days, he suffered from lot of fever. Entire years of his life, he was suffering from high fever. What does that mean? That means that in the previous birth, he was, you know, used to burn, or he used to, put fire in the forest, and that Agni, that karma gave him, lot of fever, and he was never well in his life, right? And deprived from his one of the most desired thing, having a son, and never getting satisfaction, love, never got balance of his life right. Now, this is a small story associated with this particular pada of the Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra. But Shiva has explained this story not only to Ma Parvati, to all the Vedic students of Jyotish, so that they can learn certain things, that why there are certain events happening in the life of that Brahmin in the first birth, and then why it is happening in the second birth. First thing, since it is a water sign, and this moon is also in the Cancer Navamsha, fourth pada. Okay. So water plus water, again, Cancer is a water sign. And Mars gets debilitated here. So one thing is for sure that whenever Mars is debilitated, you are you show your bravery on innocent people. You show your bravery on animals, birds, someone who is not harming you, someone who is not your enemy. You understand? So you have to understand one thing, that when this eclipse is going to happen, there are many, you know, many problems or many it's a very, very severe, what do you call it, punishments or very severe, replications are going to come in the life of innocent people by some hard-headed, people. Maybe there could be a war kind of a situation based on the dharma, where innocent people are killed. There can be some natural calamities coming, right? Because there could be fire in the jungle, or since it is a watery sign, there could be a flood-like situation. You see, flood-like situation is already happening in many parts of India. Also, it is happening around the world. But as we go forward, what will happen with this is that there could be some earthquakes or some natural calamities coming our way because of this eclipse, because of that Navamsh, the Mars debilitation in the sign of Cancer. But on the same time, Jupiter is exalted here in the Karka, right? So when Jupiter is exalted, means you will be fortunate when it comes to wealth. So wealth is going to come. I mean, if you have any case or issue regarding wealth, any litigation regarding wealth, this will be a transformative period where the case will be resolved or it will be settled. But since it is an eclipse, it is going to give you tons and tons of mental harassment. You will not be able to balance your life for next 2 months. Like the deity of or the devata associated with Puru Bhadrapada is a kind of a Rudra known as Aja Ekapada, which stands on one leg, trying to maintain the balance. And when the eclipse happens, the balance is not maintained. That is where the problem comes, right? And there's another thing about this Uttar Bhadrapada is that there are always two faces of a native who are born in Purva Bhadrapada. The example of that Brahmin, right? He was a Brahmin, but he never behaved like a Brahmin, right? So that is why he has to go to the next birth, and he lost his, he was downgraded. He lost his Brahma Tattva. He lost being a Brahmin. So two-faced, right? Always two-faced. That means that you may look very spiritual, but inside you may have some vasanas in your mind. You may have, certain amount of hidden agendas which are against the protocols of spirituality, which are against the protocols of dharma, right? Dharma itself is a protocol, but it will be against, it will be something like, I was reading somewhere, this guy who was, the owner of some, pawn magazine, he has his moon in the Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra. So then there's a dual faced, especially when the eclipse happens, if you are running a moon Mahadasha or an Antradasha, or if you are in the Rahu Mahadasha or Rahu Antradasha, or if you are in certain, areas where you have Surya Mahadasha going on, or Ketu, or, Shukra, you people may get attracted, towards certain areas of life that you don't like, certain areas where you will feel ashamed of yourself, that why, I'm doing this thing, why maybe I'm watching a porn, why I am drinking, why I'm suddenly started to smoke, suddenly my mentality, my mindset towards someone has gone wrong, why I'm trying to deceive my life partner by making relationships with others. This, because 12th house is also house of bed pleasures. 12th house is house of meditation. You can be isolated, right? So these effects are the effects that are going to come in your life. You got to be careful. You see, remedies actually only work with guidance. If you are guided way in advance that, hey, in next 2 months, because of this eclipse, you guys can go wrong. You can have certain mindset where you will feel bad about yourself. You're going to regret after 6 months that why did I do this thing in January? It was not required. And along with that, at mundane level, there will be many unjustified things. The ecosystem will not be balanced. The balance will go away. Like a lot of floods, lot of windy years. There can be you know a lot of hurricanes that can come. There can be tsunami that can come. So wherever the balance of the mother nature goes, haywire, that's what can happen with such kinds of eclipse. And especially there are certain lagnas that can take major hit in terms of their work. See, I mean, why I don't prefer, giving you this explanation lagna wise is because you are running different mahadashas, but especially like you are a Gemini lagna. Okay, you have it in the 10th house. You got to be careful with your work, right? You will feel low. You will feel as if from last 15 days you are not able to maintain balance in your life. Something is going haywire. Similarly, if you are a Karka Lagna, I'm just giving you some examples. You can work based on your house. You may feel as if your spirituality, your learnings have gone haywire. It has gone up and down, and you may feel as if there are certain problems with your teachers, gurus, mentors going on, the problems with bosses going on, with fatherly figures going on. So every lagna based on the Mahadasha that you are looking at. And this eclipse, you have to always check from the lagna. Don't try to see its results from the moon kundali. It's a lunar eclipse. See it from the lagna. You'll be able to find in whichever house, whichever bhava, you're getting this eclipse, you will face problems there, right? For an example, if it is in the seventh house, okay, if it is there, and you feeling it here in the seventh house, specifically, you are probably you're in the your Pisces Lagna, okay, or you are a Virgo Lagna. I'm sorry. So Virgo Lagna, this is happening in the seventh house. Suddenly, you will feel problems in your married life. Maybe you can go wrong and try to deceive your wife. Maybe you can do something which is unethical, which is something which is cruel, because debilitated Mars is not going to portray the actual ability to fight your enemies. It is fighting innocent people who have not harmed you, right? And then getting the suffering. So for Pisces that is happening in the Lagna, you got to be very careful with your health. You can have viral fevers, and you see a lot of people saying there's a lot of viral happening in various parts of the world. I mean, in India, especially in North India, people are having cold, cough, viral fevers and everything. Why? Because this is, if you look at it, and I make the you know the Lagna of India, where it is Taurus Lagna, right? You'll see this is happening in the fifth house and in the 11th house. So fifth house, Surya, Shukra, Ketu in the 11th house. So 11th house is sixth from the sixth, right? Where the deposition of the diseases happens, right? So publicly, communicative diseases will come. Communicative means, from one person to another. So I have viral, you sit with me for an hour, you catch it, you go at your home, you give it to your family, to the children. So communicative diseases, whenever there is an eclipse in the 11th house, whenever there is Mars and Saturn combination happening in the 11th house, you will get into diseases which are communicable. A lot of communicable diseases will come in your way. So this particular eclipse is an eclipse of lot of mental turmoils. This particular eclipse is an eclipse of you people going wrong in a particular direction. This particular eclipse is an eclipse where the balance of the mother nature will take a hit, right? And then Ma Parvati asks, Shiva, that Shiva, is there a remedy? He says, yeah, there is a remedy, of course. And the remedy is to pray, to Rudra in form of Siri Rudra. And the second remedy here, Shiva said to Ma Parvati is to do Gopal Stotram. You see, Gopal is the baby or a child or a balak form of Krishna, right? Gopala, right? So doing Gopal Stotram, we usually do it for having a baby boy, you see, in the family. Now the curse went where this Brahmin has no baby boy. He doesn't have a child, and only there were few girls born, and then those girls were also suffering from physical deformities. So this is what kind of a story was told. So now doing the Gopal Stotra, right, and any Gopala mantra, right, is something which is one of the very powerful remedies, especially of the fourth pada of the Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra, right? And also going to the cows, like serving to cows. Now, in this story, the animals, birds suffered because the Brahmin used to set fire, in the forest. So these animals have suffered, these birds have suffered. So giving something to the mother nature, like feeding birds for next 2 months, right, every day without a disconnect, feeding animals, saving the life of animals, going to certain cow shelters or dog shelters, or where you have those animals who have been brought, you can treat them, you can give them medication, right? And if you find a sick animal or a bird or a cow, you can give some money for the treatment. These small activities are going to give you tons and tons of mental peace, which is going to be disturbed after your eclipse, right? So whenever you have eclipse, it, especially the Chandra Grahan, which is with Rahu, it has happened after 12 years now. It will give you a lot of mental turmoils. Many Lagnas, Gemini Lagna, then you have Virgo Lagna. For me, like an Aries Lagna, I am already feeling little isolated, right? And again, my throat, my ear, I'm facing some viral issues. You can see my voice is little heavier, right? So all these things are coming, right? It will exaggerate. I have seen, I was looking at somebody's chart yesterday, and she is a Libra, right? And suddenly she's got a clot in the brain, and having a lot of issues. She's going through a surgery, and the major surgery has happened, right? So two clots in the brain, right? And one got busted, it has a hemorrhage there. The other one is there, still in the coma for 4 days, going to come out of that situation. So all these things, sudden, because whenever moon eclipse happens, there is always a provision of something sudden that will happen. Very, very sudden, because the speed of the moon is very, very fast, relatively to the earth. So you can expect some sudden unwanted situations which you've never expected in your life. That's what happens. But if you keep on listening to Sri Rudra, if you stand on one leg for 10 seconds and pray to Shiva, right? If you help Mother Nature, if you feed birds, dogs, cats, cows, right? And you do, Gopal Stotram, just listen to it. Listening to Gopal Stotram is also going to give you equal result, Bal Gopala Stotram. And if you are a Bhairav Sadhak, right? So there is a child form of Bhairava known as Batuk Bhairava, right? So you can also chant the mantra of the Batuk Bhairava, right? So that will help you, right? So very, very simple mantras are there of Batuk Bhairava available. You can see it, right? So Batuk Bhairav is the rupa that you can always meditate on, right? Even if you're saying Om Bhairavaya Namah, Om Bhairavaya Namah, Om Bhairavaya Namah, just try to meditate on the Batuk Bhairava, even if you're saying Bhairavaya Namah, right? Batuk Bhairava is Apaduddharanaya. Om Reem Batukaya Apaduddharanaya, right? So, I mean, these are the Shaktis that are very, very protective. They will protect you. So, it is always a matter of concern when we have eclipse. I mean, a lot of people say it is good, but it is good astronomically if you want to enjoy that thing. It's your mindset. But, astronomically, I'm sorry, but astrologically, any eclipse is never a good thing. It's never good. It has, yeah, one good thing with this particular is the transformation, because it is the Navamsha is Jala Karka, the sign is Karka, so it can give you certain amount of transformation for those particular habits. If you were trying to leave that habit from long, long time, you can do it now. Suppose you were planning to quit alcohol, or you were planning to quit smoking, or any kind of bad habit that you have, and you really want to get rid of that particular bad habit, ladies and gentlemen, trust me, this is the time. This is the time. If you leave it on September 18th, you are going to be firm on it, and it's not going to come back to you again very easily. You will have that energy within yourself. And if you're an astrology student, I would request you to not look at horoscopes that day. Even if there's no sutak, but I would definitely tell you not to just meditate. Do Sri Rudram, try to meditate on Shiva, try to meditate on Gopala, the Gopala Subrupa of Krishna. Try to meditate on the Batuk Bhairava, right? You can chant Om Bhairavaya Nama. So all these things, if you do, like the stories of one Janma to the another Janma, and then explaining that Pada of a nakshatra is actually to explain you traits of those natives, that are born, right? They can be dual faced, they can have, their dual nature, they can be inside and outside very, very different. Because whenever Rudras are involved, any nakshatra where Rudras are involved, they have some severity. They are very, very severe in certain things, right? And it can break the laws, break the protocols, right? People say, oh, Purva Bhadrapada, Jupiter Nakshatra. But I have seen personally that every Jupiter Nakshatra is very, very harsh on certain things of life. And exalted Jupiter only means that you will always have means. I've seen people born in Purva Bhadrapada, Nakshatra, they are naturally well off. They get, basic amenities, good comfort, good money in life. But on the same time, it is an opportunity for them, because they will get health sufferings, they will get sufferings from family, brothers, siblings, they will tease them. Twin brother can tease them, or the real brother or sister can create problems for them. So all these problems are seen with Purva Bhadrapada. And when you have this eclipse happening here, around the world for a temporary, a time, maybe 2 months, 3 months, you will see these problems coming, which are associated with that particular pada of the nakshatra. So I've given you the remedies. If you are an astrology student, you can just, take your lagna, see in which house it is happening, right? It is happening in the third house. You need to be very, very careful with what you're going to do. If you want to start something with your brothers and sisters, you got to be very, very conscious. And if you have any vasanas, because third house, seventh house, And 11th house are not only Kama Trikona, they are also the house of Vasanas. That the strong, Vasana and desires that you have. Right? So got to be careful. Got to be careful. If it is in the sixth house, you got to be careful with your health. With the fifth house, you got to be careful with your children, your love, your romance. Do not keep them in illusionary world. Do not break the balance. If it's in the fourth house, please do not break the balance of the family. Treat them, with respect. Treat them with equality. Only then you'll be able to overcome the effect of this eclipse. But if you just, scattered, you are scattered in front of this energy, then what is the use of Jyotish? The use of the Jyotish is to give you that guidance. If you can't take my guidance and if you can't keep that self control, right, there's no purpose of Jyotisha. These remedies are only to help you come out of a situation with lot of righteous things that you are doing, that you can do in your life. That is the meaning of real Jyotisha, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this has helped. Thank you very much. I'll come up with another video. Till then, Hare Krishna.